Hello there and welcome back to another video, my friends. In this video we are of course talking about fish that can go with shrimp. We're going to be discussing some slightly unusual fish which you don't tend to see very often or even think about that much when keeping shrimp. But not just that, these fish are true nano species. All fish will actually eat shrimp babies. Even the smallest, most nano species of fish will eat your shrimp fry. However, there is a smaller chance of nano fish eating your shrimp fry than larger fish. So the species of fish I'm discussing in this video are ones which I deem relatively shrimp safe. They certainly won't take out adult shrimp, they certainly won't take out medium-sized shrimp, however they may still eat your shrimplets. That being said, most of the species in this video should be fairly safe even for shrimplets, provided there's enough cover in the way of plants within your shrimp aquarium. So have you ever heard of a fish called a Medaka? You may not have, but it is one of the most heavily studied fish in the world. It's actually a rice fish which originates in Japan. They live in rice paddies, marshes, ponds and slow waters, very similar to the environment that you might find a betta fish living in. They can also tolerate a wide range of temperatures and live in brackish or fresh water, so pretty much the easiest fish in the world to keep. There's lots of different types and colorations of Medaka. You'll find a huge array available. They tend to inhabit the middle to top area of the aquarium, so they're very safe with shrimp because they don't tend to go down to the level where the shrimp are. They're a really fun fish to keep because they're easy to breed as well, so alongside breeding your shrimp you can also breed the Medaka. Now what makes Medaka really interesting is actually they're the first species ever to mate in space. They actually went up on the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1994 and bred. Not only that, but there's actually an aquarium on the International Space Station with Medaka inside of it, so they're the first space-faring fish. So Australia and New Guinea have some really beautiful rainbow fish, but unfortunately rainbow fish are too big and aggressive to be kept with shrimps. However, there are nano species of rainbow fish, and these fall into a group called the blue-eye rainbows, the Latin being Pseudomugil. There are some other dwarf rainbows such as the threadfin rainbow, which fall into a similar kind of category in terms of keeping with shrimp. What makes these nano rainbow fish really interesting is just how beautiful they are in coloration. There are a huge variety of these particular rainbow fish, and some of them can be really hard to get hold of, but the coloration makes it worth searching for them. When they're maturing in your aquarium, they'll actually do little displays of each other, just like the larger species of rainbows do, and it makes them a spectacular display nanofish. Rainbow fish will go all around the aquarium, and it does mean that they're a little bit more predatory when it comes to eating baby shrimp. So if you're keeping them with adult shrimp, they should be fine. However, if you're trying to keep them in a tank where you're trying to breed shrimp, it's best to either not do that or give the shrimps lots and lots of plants to hide in, and then they shouldn't eat too many of your shrimplets. Rasbora are probably one of the most common and most popular fish in the aquatic hobby, and in general terms pretty much every single species of Rasbora is safe to keep with shrimp. However, there are some which are more suitable than others, and these are the nano variety of Rasboras. There's quite a lot of them. The copper harlequin is one that you may mistake for the normal harlequin, but it is a tinier version, and these are really excellent, colourful and very active fish which you can add to your nano shrimp aquarium. There are of course other species available such as the green Rasbora, galaxy Rasbora, really diminutive ones from the Boreorus genus such as the chili or dwarf Rasbora. Whichever one you pick though, they'll be incredibly active and tend to hang around at the surface of your aquarium. This means that they shouldn't predate much on your shrimps, either the small ones or the adults. So here's another fish that people really don't tend to add to aquariums, and if they see them in a fish shop they tend to keep walking by, and that is the Norman's Lampeye killifish. They come from Central and West Africa, and I feel they're one of the most underrated little fish in the aquatic hobby. It may just be because they're silver, but I find them really attractive, especially with the very bright neon eye that they have, hence the name Lampeye. I keep them personally in my shrimp tank, and I've never seen them bothering with my adult shrimp or even with the shrimplets that I've bred in my aquarium, which leads me to believe and assume that they are 100% safe when it comes to keeping with shrimp, even in tanks where you want to build and breed a colony. Now, Lampeyes do tend to hang around the surface of the aquarium, and they love to just sort of flit around and play with each other. They will also spawn quite readily in an aquarium, where they lay their eggs either in some plants on the surface of the water, or they'll find an area of heavy vegetation where they'll spawn readily. Now, it wouldn't be a very good fish list without adding some kind of live bearer to it. Now, normal sized guppies are a good choice if you want to keep purely adult shrimps. However, I have heard of little baby shrimps being eaten by adult guppies, especially the females, which can get quite large. And that's why I suggest to not keep the normal sized guppies, but instead put Endler guppies in your shrimp tanks. Now, Endler guppies are pretty much the same as a normal sized guppy in terms of behaviour. They are very active and very social little fish. They will breed really easily, and they're live bearers, so the babies will come out live and you can easily become overrun. Unfortunately, the females do get quite large compared to the males, and it may mean that adult female Endler guppies will predate on some of the smaller shrimps in your tanks. So you may only want to keep the male Endler guppies, but that's okay because the male Endler guppies are the ones which are the most colourful anyway. They also stay really small. You may have noticed that I haven't actually mentioned any Tetra so far, and that's because I'm avoiding Tetra in general. Even neon sized Tetras can and will eat adult sized shrimp if they want to, and they will definitely predate on smaller baby shrimp. However, there are a couple of species of Tetra which you can add to your aquarium if you want to keep shrimp successfully, and one of these is the Ember Tetra. The Ember Tetra is a very active, bright red Tetra, hence the name Ember. It's a lot smaller than other Tetra. You think a neon Tetra is small? Well, the Ember Tetra is smaller. They come from Brazil and are a very active little Tetra fish, but they do require to be in a reasonably heavily planted aquarium and also have a lot of companions because they don't like to be on their own. As you can see here, they're living quite happily with some Rasbora in this shrimp tank, and we haven't had any mortalities on our shrimp, so they are definitely safe with adults. Let's talk about cleanup crew. Now, it might surprise you that in a shrimp tank you're going to need a cleanup crew. However, the shrimp won't eat every bit of algae. They'll eat a lot of algae, but not everything, so you're going to need something just to mop up the rest. Unfortunately, a lot of the catfish and cleanup crew that you'd put in a larger aquarium are just too big to keep with shrimp. However, there are a few species which do very well. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Hillstream Loach. Now, the Hillstream Loach is a South Asia and Southeast Asian fish. They like cool, well oxygenated water, but thankfully a lot of shrimp can tolerate colder temperatures, so when you're putting these fish in, make sure to reduce the temperature slightly than you would with the other species. Hillstream Loach is a biofilm grazer. They don't technically eat algae, they eat the things that live amongst the algae. So the way they eat is they actually scrape algae and biofilms off of surfaces, and amongst that there will be lots of little life forms which they digest. So even though they don't technically eat the algae, they still help to remove algae from your aquarium. Now, another suckermouth fish which is ideally suited and 100% safe to keep with shrimp, even baby shrimp, is the Otocinclus. Now, the Otocinclus is hugely popular in planted tanks because it is a real workhorse when it comes to eating algae. Not only that, but they actually eat algae from plants, which is one of the huge advantages to keeping Otocinclus, because they will keep your plant leaves spotless. Otocinclus are a pretty hardy fish, and they like to be kept in small groups if possible. Another fish which is hugely popular in the aquarium hobby are the Corydoras. There are a couple of Nano Corydoras that we can put into a small shrimp tank, and these are the pygmy and dwarf cories. They are two separate species, however they act in a very similar way, and they don't get very big at all. Corydoras eat by going on the substrate and hoovering up any leftover food that they find. Now, the reason we might want to consider putting Corydoras into a shrimp tank, not only just because Corydoras are awesome, is the fact that any leftover food from feeding your shrimp will result in poor water quality. So the good thing about Corydoras is they will find and remove any food that hasn't been eaten by your shrimp or other fish. However, they do actually need feeding. Some people think that they just live off whatever they find. That is untrue. They do need their own specialised food, which is normally a good quality sinking pellet. You may have noticed I've missed out quite a large chunk of different fish, such as the Nano barb species and a lot of Tetras. The reason for this is because although they get on very well with adult shrimps, I find them to predate quite heavily on the shrimplets. So the fish in this list are ones which are pretty safe when it comes to keeping with shrimplets as well, and not just keeping with adult shrimps. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please remember to subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell button so that when I do a new video, you get told and you can hopefully watch it. If you like the video, also leave a like, and if there's anything you'd like to add to this video, please leave a comment below. I read and try and respond to every comment on my videos. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and happy fish keeping!